Hey, hi YouTube, hi everyone, how are you? I hope you all guys are doing great. In this video, we are going to see singleton pattern. Till now, in creation design pattern, we have seen factory pattern, build pattern, prototype pattern. Next is singleton pattern. If you haven't watched all this video, you can watch it. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and just subscribe me so that you can also get notified whenever I will upload object full pattern video. So, and all this video will be in Python because I guess Python is the most easiest language, very close to English. And all this video, all the code that I'm going to use will be also uploaded in the GitHub repo so that you can refer it and play along with the code. So let's right straightly jump into singleton pattern. So let's see what actually singleton pattern is and how it can be useful. So first of all, let's see how is the life without singleton pattern, because all this pattern exist because to make the code more cleanable, scalable, this so that they can follow solid principles, or we can achieve some level of abstraction while creating some objects or maintaining some structures and whatnot. So without single pattern, let's suppose you are a backend engineer where multiple parts of the app use, let's suppose maybe DB connection manager, logging service. So every time someone creates an object, every time if someone wants to use it, they have to create an object. Let's suppose you have a logger method in some of your logger.py. And whenever, let's suppose you have to use this logger method or this logger object, you have to create something like this. So every time whenever the init or the constructor is called, it will print logger created. So it is printing it. So every time we are creating another object, a new object. And definitely it is not good. It's not a good practice. It depends upon the context. Okay, I'm not saying it is a good practice or bad, but whenever like you in the whole application of life cycle of your application, you just need one instance of it. Then singleton pattern comes into the picture. So let's suppose you only want one instance of a class in the entire application lifecycle, and let's suppose the single instance is globally accessible, then we should go for singleton pattern. So in this case, maybe this logger object, we have created a logger object at global level, and we don't want to anyone to create another logger object. Let's suppose a DB connection. A DB connection, generally we have just one DB connection in the whole application lifecycle, and we use it. Okay, so to don't have any inconsistency. In such case, singleton pattern is really helpful. Let's see how we can add a simple singleton a simple logger service using singleton pattern. So we have created a logger service class, and this is basically a class level variable. That's why oops is really important. So this is a class variable. So whenever we will create an object, uh, every object will share this variable. Okay, this is a shared resource. So this instance initially is none. Then we have a new function, which is basically a magic function or dunder function, you can say, which is used for creating an object. So even init also calls this new internally. Okay, so we are instead overriding init, we are overriding this new function, because init also internally calls this new function. Okay, so if class.instance, basically we just use a variable CLS. Generally, self is used for like you can say objects variable, and CLS is used for class level variables. Okay, so most of the time you are using self, because we deal with class level object level variables, but for class level variables we use CLS. This can be anything, but industry follows it. Okay, so CLS dot instance is none. Let's suppose for the first time we are creating object of logger service. In this case, this instance will be none. This variable will be none. So this is a protected variable. Okay, in Python, whenever we add single underscore, it is protected. Double underscore, it is private. Okay, so creating a logger instance. Okay, so we are creating a logger instance, and we are basically creating an object of it using new, and we are storing that object instance, that object in this variable, which is underscore instance. Simple. If we are calling this logger service, it is checking this new. It indirectly it checks. Okay, because even in this init, you don't have to call this init. You don't have to call the constructor. Constructor is the method which is called in the object lifecycle for the very first time. Okay, you don't have to call it. Okay, it's a magic function. Okay, similarly new. Okay, so we call it. We don't have to call it actually. It in by default it get calls. So it will check if this class or you can say if this, let's suppose we already have called this logger service initially, so this instance will be having an object, so this will be not none. So if class dot instance is none, no, it is not none, so it will return the same earlier object that was already created and stored in this variable. So this is what if and this means. Okay, so whenever we will create an object, it will call new. Okay, so after new init is called. Okay, so it will call new, and it will check whether this class dot instance is none. If it is none, it will create a new object and it will store it in this variable. Okay, and if it's not, then it will return this class dot instance, means it will return the old object that has been already stored. And then we have a log, we can have multiple messages, okay, like debug log, whatever not. Okay, so here we are having log and we are passing some message and we are just doing a string stuff. So now if I just created a new object for this instance, this creating logger instance will print. Why? Because initially this instance is none. So it will print this statement and create a object, and it will store at a class level variable which is instance. But for the next time whenever I will call this object or this class which is log service, so it will not print this statement. Why? Because we have already a small underscore instance, because this is a class level variable. So whenever we will create the we will call this class or instantiate with this class, this variable will be always accessed. So this for the next for the second time whenever we will call this logger service, then this if statement will be false, because class instance is not now it is not none, because already we have stored something whenever we were calling this logger one, when we were calling this logger service for the first time. So it will just return this class instance. And also logger one and logger two will be same, because they are accessing the same object, okay, which is stored at this underscore instance. So that's why if I create it, see, only this creating logger instance was called when it was created for the first time only, and then simply for the second time it didn't, it just used that logger one object only. That's why logger one and logger two are same. Okay, this is just for showing you whether it is same or not. Okay, also there is some better approach I will show you. So this is a simple way to understand singleton pattern. Okay, whenever you just want one instance to be created for a class in entire application life cycle, we should definitely I can say you should use this. Okay, so common use cases are like configuration manager, like loaded once, used anywhere. A database connection pool, like expensive to create database connection every time, so we can, it should be shared across threads. Logging services, generally we use it like a centralized logging system we want. Caching system, one cache can be shared across multiple app, not multiple app, across the app. And thread pools are also there, like avoid creating too many threads, it can be helpful. We can create a thread pool. Basically more the thread pool is can be more towards the object pool pattern, I guess. Okay, but logging, database connections, configuration manager heavily used. Okay, so whenever we are dealing with configuration manager, database managers, or database creation logics or logging service, we generally use it. In many Python web backends, like logging is almost always singleton. Like SQL Alchemy engines is effectively a singleton for DB connections. Flask app dot in Flask, if you are familiar with Flask, then app.config behave always like a singleton for config values. Okay. Now, better approach can be, maybe you have seen this in Python, developers often prefer a simple alternative to singleton, using a module level global object. To show you, I have created a simple project which is logger project. So if you see here in logger.py, we write something like this, like class logger log, simple. Okay, no need to create a singleton class or something. Okay, now here we are creating a single global instance which is logger is equals to logger. Okay, this is generally we also do this. Now if you go to app.py, you just have to do this from logger, import logger, logger.app, app started, and maybe in service layer also you want to add some logger. So from logger, import logger, just do this. So now if I will run it, okay, so I'm getting log service started, and if I just run this, or I can say this one, so now I'm getting log app started. Okay, so log service started, log app started, print log. Okay, so this is also a way to, I can say, to um, add alternative to your I can say singleton pattern. Okay. What maybe actually this is the same logger because this is the logger object that we are accessing across the module. Okay, I think you are understanding it. I don't want to explain it like deep, or I don't want to over explain it. So here we have created the object and this is shared across the module. Okay, so what happens here is uh, the first time when logger.py is imported, Python runs it and creates the logger object. So here the logger object has been created. Anyone who is importing any other imports of logger from any file, from any of the file, it reuses the logger object because modules are cached in sys.modules. You can learn more about sys.modules. Okay, this gives you exactly one logger instance across your app, especially a singleton, kind of singleton pattern. Okay, why this works in Python? Because Python keeps a cache of imported modules in sys.modules. Okay, we call it as sys.modules. If a module is already loaded, import just returns the same object without rerunning the code. Okay. So for your logger instance, is that module is guaranteed to be same everywhere. So this logger is always same because in Python is get cache in sys.modules. Okay. So that's why basically generally in Python we use the single pattern like this, or even for DB connections or for logger also. Okay, we generally don't follow such pattern. This kind of pattern, but knowing it also, it can be really helpful. Okay, so what are the limitations of it? So limitation can be, it can hide dependencies, like it acts like a global variable, so it definitely it can hide dependencies. It's harder to unit test because of their shared state. Okay, also it over of use of it also leads to tight coupling, because see, this app.py is tightly coupled to logger because we are using the directly the logger object. So also if you overuse it, it will also lead to tight coupling. So that's why we should only use for like wherever we need, like for logging, DB connections, expensive connections, we can use it, which should be shared across the app. Okay, singular pattern is very simple. I guess this much explanation is enough about singular pattern. You can just look at it and maybe you can try it so that next time you can use it in your application or wherever you are going to use it. So in the there is going to be one more video on conditional design pattern, that is objectful pattern, and then maybe we can move to structural pattern. So if you have any doubt, you can ask in the comment section, and definitely me or someone else can help you in the discussion section. And meet you in the next video. Till then, bye bye. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe me. Thank you.